Hey everybody, it's Friday, August 14th, and doing something a little different this ACC Today. We're going to do a three-parter. I had a great conversation with our district superintendent, Brent Trask. I've had him on ACC Today before. He's one of my key mentors, and we've been talking about church and church growth and how he's seeing things from his perspective. Overseeing 100 plus churches in our district, and just had some great things to say. And so I wanted to share them with you. And so we're going to do three parts. We're going to do it today. We'll carry it on next Tuesday and finish it off next Friday. So I hope you can tune into each one. There's some great things that Brent's talking about, some great challenges to how we can grow during this time of pandemic, and how we can leverage it. Actually, this is a great opportunity for growth in our personal lives as well as in our church. So hope you can check in. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Let's go to talk to Brent right now for part one. Let's go. Hey, Brent, good morning. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day here in Calgary.
Is it? We should be golfing.
Well, you have golfed recently. You've got a story about that, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So you came up here to spend time with me. You're kind of a mentor, not kind of. You are a mentor to me both personally and professionally. And you had come up to spend time with me, and you had brought Mandy with you. And so it would behoove me to take care of Mandy, since I need to try to it'd be good to impress you, to honor you if I took care of your wife. And so Jennifer was going to be spending some time at a friend's house, who has beach access. And so Mandy dropped you and I off at the golf course, or dropped you off at the golf course where I was. And then I gave her directions to the place where Jennifer was staying.
Yeah.
Now, I gave her wrong directions. I gave her the wrong house. Okay. And I said to her, Jennifer might not be there. So just say you're a friend of Jennifer. The person knows, it'll be cool. And then Jen will show up soon enough. Everything is great. Mandy goes to this place. It's the wrong house. Okay, so this should have been solved right away. They should have said, we don't know who you are, and everything should work out, right? But they're kind of looking at her, and Mandy goes, oh, hi. And they said, hi, can we help you? And she said, I'm a friend of Jennifer's. Well, it just so happened that these people, their son is dating a girl named Jennifer. So they think, hey, it's just, I guess it's her friend. Okay. So Mandy says, I'm a friend of Jennifer's. I'm just going to wait for her. And they're like, oh, okay. We didn't know she was coming, but that's cool. And make yourself at home. There's the beachfront. And if you need to use the bathroom, it's just inside the house. Jennifer knows where it is. So they go away. So the lady goes, I'm just going to go for a walk. She tells her husband that there's a friend of Jennifer's in the backyard, and just make her feel comfortable. Meanwhile, she goes for a walk and calls Jennifer, and Jennifer goes, I don't know who Mandy is. So this should have ended it, right? This should have been the end of it. But then Mandy starts talking to the guy. Now, to tell this part of it, where Mandy starts talking to the man, the husband, about how they might know each other.
Well, he says you look familiar, and he's like, oh, well, maybe you saw us at Pastor Tim Bergman's installation, which there's no connection there because they don't attend your church. So he kind of looks at her kind of funny, but no, you do look familiar. And somehow in the midst of the conversation, they figure out that we had met each other down in Huatulco, Mexico in January. And we happened to be at a place called Patio Church. And whatever, he remembered Mandy from that one Sunday morning experience.
So Huatulco is like 10 hours south of Mexico City.
Oh, it's a long, long ways. It's just before Central America. It's way south on the Pacific.
So they actually do know each other.
So they knew each other. These people were super hospitable to Mandy. But 2 hours later, Tim and I finished golfing, and we go down to where Mandy and Jennifer are supposed to be. We're like, where's Mandy? Jennifer's like, I don't know. Like, we've been wondering where she is too. So I give her a call, and she says, where are you guys?
Like 300 feet down the beach.
4 houses away from her.
Oh my goodness. So that was a pretty big fail on my part, and yet super weird serendipity for them to have met before, and now she's got a new friend. So
good illustration too, that just on how amazing God is, like the connections there are incredible. And we think, oh no, Mandy was very embarrassed. She'd been hanging out in somebody's backyard for all this time on her own. But it really turned into something incredible. And usually when we're in the embarrassed stage of things, we can't see maybe the bigger picture. But the sovereignty of God and the grace of God is amazing. And it's great to smile and laugh about the story, the funny side of it. But there is a spiritual kind of illustration in it as well.
And Mandy and I are still friends. She still likes me, right?
Yeah, basically.
Basically. Well, the reason I wanted to interview you, Brent, I've interviewed you before on ACC Today, but I want to do it again, had to do with our golf conversation. While Mandy was sitting in some stranger's backyard, you and I were having some pretty good conversation on the golf course.
Yeah.
And part of your job is you oversee the churches, the Alliance churches in Alberta and the Yukon?
Northwest Territories.
Northwest Territories.
Yep.
So how many churches are you overseeing right now?
Well, there's one in Northwest Territories in Yellowknife, and we have about 120 in Alberta.
Okay. So when you look at you're concerned about the health, about the growth and all of that in these churches. And this pandemic, I'm sure, has just been, man, it's like a bomb going off. It's a big rock in the pool. And you're seeing some churches that are doing well, and I'm sure you're seeing some that are struggling. And what are some things that you see in churches that are doing well compared to those that are struggling?
Well, most of our churches are doing well in the same way, and that is in adaptation. Everybody had to hurry and adapt to the new presenting context. And the new presenting context was, you're not meeting face to face anytime soon. We don't know when you will be. And so you've got to figure out how to get all of your ministry and your disciple making, digitize it somehow, get online. You got to find a way to commune with your congregation without being with your congregation. And somebody expressed it to me that, we always think the church is so slow to change. And even if you want to make a little change by, we don't want the grand piano on the stage anymore. Sometimes it takes churches like 6 months to make decisions like that. And the pastor and somebody else in the church is moving it 5 inches a week until finally nobody notices that it moved from the left-hand side of the stage to actually the second level of the stage, and then eventually it's out of the room. But if anything that we learned about how amazing our churches are in adaptation is that we are far more capable of making change as a church than we ever thought we were. Mm. We think that we can't make big changes. Churches made wholesale changes, sweeping changes, that if we had sat down without a crisis and said, are we going to do this or not do this? Are we going to invest in the equipment that's necessary to have a digital voice in this generation? We may have said that we don't have money for that for a long, long time.
Right.
We may have said that that's not relevant for a long, long time. We may have said that that's too plastic, that's fake ministry, that's not real ministry for a long, long time, and wrestled and philosophized over these things. But the reality is that churches did it like that. They did it in 2 to 3 weeks. Everybody was scrambling, and everybody was finding a way. And I look at that and I say, there is something incredible that we need to learn and realize about ourselves. Mm. We can make the changes that are necessary to be accomplished in our churches. So when there's things in our churches that are either not pleasing to God, or we know in and of ourselves that this is not the way that we should be as the people of God, if we don't change, it's really a matter of a lack of repentance. Mm. Repentance simply means to change your mind. It's a Greek compound word, to change your mind. And we think of a 180-degree turn. I used to look at things this way, but now I look at things this way.
Yeah.
That's what repentance is. A lot of the change that we need to bring into the church, sometimes we say, oh, that's too much, we need more time and whatnot. We've all just learned, we are amazing. We are powerful to be able to make change. The question is, are we penitent enough to make the sort of changes that God asks of us?
Wow. That is a fantastic observation.
So I think all our churches have been tremendous. If you say what is something that all our churches are doing well, adaptation to context has been like through the roof. It's been incredible. And for yourselves and Sylvan, you've been one of the models in the sort of adaptability, adaptation to context that one of the earliest churches really to get online, to do it well, and to do so with multiple ministries, not just with the weekend gatherings, including these regular interviews that you've been doing, which I think are superb.
Oh, thanks, Brent. So what are some ways that that people have been struggling? How are churches struggling?
Well, I think the struggling is that we have adapted mostly by what the crisis has required us to do rather than what our conscience asks us to do. Mm. And if adaptation has been a strength, exploitation has been a weakness. And let me explain that.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill once said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." What do you think he meant by that? Well, he said that in the midst of World War II, and it was the worst of times. He said, well, it could be the best of times. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Now that we're experiencing the crisis that we're in, what sort of changes should we make by conscience? A lot of our people in our churches, pastors, leaders, lay people, I just want to get back. When can we get back to normal? When can we get back and make things like they were? But niggling in the back of our conscience was before really the best expression of God's people? And when we listen to our conscience on that, we know the Spirit has been speaking to us about making changes in our personal lives and changes in our corporate expression for a long, long time. One of which we might say we've been predominantly inert in culture. Now, there in Sylvan Lake, you've had a great reach and you've been growing over the years. But most of our churches, when we say, are you actually making disciples from the raw feedstock of people who are far from God versus making disciples potentially by people that are transferring in from other churches, or not making disciples? We're just helping, we're maybe maturing a little bit, but we're not actually making disciples. On that spectrum, most of our churches have not been doing well. And there's something in our conscience that would say that we know that we're not doing well.
Right. Yeah.
How are we exploiting the crisis to become a better form of myself as a disciple or an apprentice of Jesus and as a church?
Wow.
I think this has been the most significant leadership miss that I see around our district. And I don't want to say that in a kind of a damning way to you or to other pastors in any way. I think the adaptation to crisis has been just completely absorbing, that it gets difficult to say, wait a minute, how could this be an opportunity? How could we exploit what is happening now? Because many of the demands upon the church and where we have moved in space digitally, it's been there for a long, long time. It's been semi-visible with some gravity. Now that we've been forced to go there, to actually transform ourselves long-term into a ministry that has a digital footprint and being able to move from being churches that produce digital content to actually getting to the place where digital content turns into community relationships, real relationships, like eHarmony. That's a real relationship. People are falling in love and getting married online. So how can that happen with Jesus? And moving from merely digital content to creating community, and then ultimately to being a people who are on mission together, which is then the next transformation to cause. How can we actually see evangelism taking place?
Oh man, yeah.
Because of the digital generation that we're a part of. Now, this doesn't speak to all of the issues of relaunch and regather and whatnot, but I would say it is one area of exploitation. Friends, do not miss this. It requires our best thinking, and often the people that are responsible to do the best thinking are people like me who are not the right people to be at the table alone. We need millennials and Gen Z and Gen Y. We need younger women and men who understand this world of digital relationship and communication, and actually pluralizing the opportunity for a cause, the cause of the gospel.
So, yeah.
Many people know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. And Tim, there are people at your church who are passionate about this, and they know how to do this.
Yeah. Okay, so that was part one, and we'll pick up the conversation again next Tuesday. But I hope you have a great weekend. Looking forward to being together with you at church for either virtually or live. And we've been having so many new people come to church. It's been very surprising, all these new people coming. And hope that if you're thinking about it, that'd be something you'd like to consider doing too. Or check us on virtually. And this weekend I'll be preaching on our 7th commandment: you shall not commit adultery. So I'm going to be shooting straight on that, and hopefully that'll be encouraging and meaningful and challenging, and hopefully even for some of you, save your marriages. That's what I'm praying for. So I hope you have a fantastic weekend. See you on Sunday.